The Galactic Council had grown accustomed to Earth's empty chair. For 37 years since humanity's first contact with the wider galaxy, the small blue planet had consistently failed to attend mandatory gatherings, submit required reports, or participate in any form of interstellar diplomacy. The other species had theories, of course. Primitive isolationists, sniffed Ambassador Zelthak of the Rigelian Consortium, his crystalline features catching the artificial light of the council chamber. They probably can't even comprehend the importance of galactic governance. The Altarian representative, a graceful being whose translucent skin revealed flowing patterns of bioluminescence, nodded in agreement. Our scouts report they're still using combustion engines and radio waves. Barely spacefaring, really. High Counselor Vorthak, the ancient Andromedan whose species had founded the Council 3 millennia ago, maintained diplomatic silence, but even he had begun to wonder if humanity deserved their seat at all. On Earth, President Elena Vasquez was having a very different kind of meeting. "General Morrison, status report on Project Titan," she said, her voice echoing through the reinforced bunker that served as humanity's most classified command center. "All 1,000 units are operational, Madam President," the grizzled military officer replied, his eyes gleaming with barely contained pride. "The neural link network is stable, and our pilots have completed their final certification trials. We're ready." Dr. Sarah Kim, the project's chief engineer, pulled up a holographic display showing massive humanoid forms standing in underground hangars across 6 continents. "The fusion cores are running at optimal efficiency. Each unit stands 400 meters tall and packs enough firepower to level a city. The quantum fold armor plating can withstand direct nuclear strikes." President Vasquez nodded slowly. 37 years of deliberate isolation hadn't been about primitive technology or diplomatic incompetence. It had been about buying time to prepare for what humanity's xenobiologists had discovered in those very first alien transmissions. The Galactic Council wasn't a peaceful federation. It was a carefully maintained balance of terror where species survived by demonstrating their capacity for overwhelming retaliation. Every diplomatic gathering was actually a showcase of military might, where members subtly displayed their newest weapons, deadliest plagues, and most destructive technologies. Humanity had been invited to join not as equals, but as potential prey. The primitive species was expected to serve as a resource world for the established powers, offering raw materials and biological specimens in exchange for scraps of advanced technology. But Earth had chosen a different path. While the galaxy assumed humans were struggling with basic spaceflight, humanity's greatest minds had been reverse engineering alien technology from the diplomatic vessels that had made first contact. While other species expected them to remain planet-bound, human engineers had been developing something unprecedented. The Titan project wasn't just about building giant robots. It was about creating a new class of warfare that the galaxy had never seen. Each steel giant was piloted by a human volunteer whose consciousness had been quantum linked to the machine, creating a perfect fusion of human intuition and mechanical precision. "Madam President," interrupted Communications Director Hayes, "we're receiving the annual summons from the Galactic Council. They're threatening sanctions if we don't appear this time." President Vasquez smiled grimly. "Tell them we'll be there, and prepare the demonstration fleet." 3 weeks later, the Galactic Council convened for what they expected to be humanity's final humiliation. The chamber buzzed with anticipation as representatives from 47 species gathered to witness Earth's long overdue submission. "The human delegation is requesting permission to address the Council," announced the session moderator. High Counselor Vorthak's ancient features creased with what might have been amusement. "Very well. Let them speak before we discuss their compliance issues." The chamber's main view screen activated, showing not the expected diplomatic vessel, but something that made several representatives gasp audibly. Floating in space beyond the council station was a human spacecraft unlike anything in their databases, sleek, angular, and crackling with unknown energy signatures. But that wasn't what captured their attention. Standing on the ship's hull, somehow surviving in hard vacuum without any visible life support, was a towering humanoid figure. 400 meters of gleaming metal and pulsing power conduits, its optical sensors glowing like twin stars as it gazed directly at the council chamber. "Greetings, Galactic Council," came a voice that resonated through every being present, not through their translation devices, but somehow directly into their consciousness. "This is Colonel Sarah Martinez, pilot of Titan Unit Alpha 7, representing the United Earth Defense Force." The chamber erupted in shocked chittering, electronic warbles, and psionic static as 47 species tried to process what they were seeing. "Impossible," whispered Ambassador Zelthak. "Humans don't have that kind of technology. Our intelligence reports—" "Your intelligence reports were deliberately fed misinformation," the steel giant replied, its voice carrying a hint of distinctly human amusement. "For 37 years, we've allowed you to believe we were primitive and isolated. In reality, we've been preparing." High Counselor Vorthak leaned forward, his milky eyes focusing with sudden intensity. "Preparing for what?" "For this conversation," Colonel Martinez responded. "We know about the consortium's slave raids in the Outer Rim. We know about the Altarian biological weapons program. We know about your resource extraction operations on primitive worlds. We know because we've been watching, learning, and planning." The view screen split, showing space around the council station from multiple angles. One by one, massive forms materialized as their cloaking fields deactivated. Dozens of steel giants, each one unique in design but equally imposing, their optical arrays fixed on the station. 1,000 Titans, Colonel Martinez announced calmly, each one crewed by a volunteer who spent decades preparing for this moment. Each one equipped with technology that your species helped us develop, whether you intended to or not. Dr. Kim's voice joined the transmission from Earth's command center. "Every diplomatic vessel you sent carried quantum resonance signatures that we reverse engineered. Every gift of primitive technology contained manufacturing patterns we improved upon. Every threat you made taught us what weapons we'd need to face." President Vasquez's image appeared alongside the steel giant. "The human species formally announces our presence in galactic affairs. We're not here to conquer or destroy. We're here to establish new rules. No more exploitation of developing worlds. No more resource extraction without consent. No more balance of terror. And if we refuse," High Counselor Vorthak's voice carried the weight of 3 millennia of unquestioned authority. Colonel Martinez's steel giant raised one massive arm, and the space around the council station filled with targeting matrices as every Titan locked weapon systems onto strategic points throughout the galaxy. "Then you'll discover that humans are very good at making friends," she replied. "We've spent the last decade establishing covert relationships with every species you've been exploiting. The Kepler refugees you displaced have new homes in our colonies. The Tau Ceti research stations you blockaded are now under our protection. The mineral worlds you strip-mined are rebuilding with our assistance." The implications hit the council members like a physical blow. While they had been maintaining their careful balance of power, humanity had been building a completely different kind of alliance. "This is not possible," Ambassador Zelthak managed. "You're one primitive species against the established galactic order. We're one species with 1,000 steel giants and 43 ally worlds," President Vasquez corrected. "Oh, and we've been sharing our technology. The liberation fleets should be arriving at your major installations right about now." Throughout the galaxy, space around key council facilities erupted with the distinctive energy signatures of quantum fold drives. But these weren't human ships. They were vessels belonging to dozens of previously oppressed species, now armed with Earth-designed weapons and supported by steel giant squadrons. 37 years, High Counselor Vorthak said finally, his voice carrying a note of something that might have been respect. "You planned this for 37 years. "Actually," Colonel Martinez replied, "we started planning it about 30 seconds after your first diplomatic transmission. You see, humans have a saying, if you want peace, prepare for war. But we have a better one. If you want peace, prepare to protect everyone who can't protect themselves." The Galactic Council faced a choice it had never encountered before. Adapt to a new reality where might didn't automatically make right, or face a coordinated rebellion that had been decades in the making. As the steel giants maintained their silent vigil around the station, humanity offered the galaxy something it hadn't seen in millennia: hope for a different kind of future. The age of the Council's unchallenged rule was over. The age of the steel giants had begun.